Hello everybody and welcome to the Yamaha TF Series introduction. Today we're going to be talking about how to properly set up your soundboard. We're going to be going over steps like faders, routing, presets, how to save your presets. Also going to be going over your inputs, your outputs. We're going to also be talking about a stage box and how to plug that in and how to assign inputs to the stage box rather than to the back of your mixer. So that it gives you full capability of plugging in all your instruments, microphones, or whatever the needs may be on your stage instead of in the back where the mixer would be. All right, so let's get started and let's turn on the mixer. So now that your mixer is fully on, you're ready to go to turn on your stage box or your monitor and your microphones, whatever you might need. So now we're gonna be talking about our inputs. Our inputs are found in two different places. They're gonna be at the back of our soundboard. Those are usually called local inputs. Our second pair of inputs are on our TO box that has 16 inputs that we could use, and they're all labeled 1 through 16. The next set we're gonna be talking about is your outputs. Your outputs are also found on the back of the board and on your TO. So you might be wondering how the TO box talks to the mixer and identifies everything that's getting plugged into your stage box, and so it shows up on your mixer. So by that, we're going to be grabbing this Cat6 cable, we're going to be plugging it into your TO box, and the other end will be plugging into your mixer. So on your TO box, there is a square with two Ethernet ports that have the labeling of primary and secondary. So we're going to connect our N that is going into the mixer to our primary plug. So now that we've seen how to plug stuff in, I'm going to show you the screen on how you could get to setting your gain, going to your EQ, changing the channel name, the channel color, how to link two channels together if you're running stereo, how to plug in an iPad or an iPhone. You could do all that just through here. We're going to show you how to do that. So with the first channel, we're going to go up to the top and we're just going to double click. That's where it's going to bring you up to this screen here where it has input, USB, and slot. You have your stereo link up here. You have your EQ as well. You have all of your FX, and you have a couple more settings that we won't get in depth to now, but we'll just get you started on adjusting your gain so your gain is set. So now we're just gonna plug in a microphone just so that I could walk you through plugging it in locally and plugging it in to your TO box. Now we plugged in our microphone to our first input here locally behind at the mixer. In your screen, you can see that there's an input, there's a USB, and there's a slot. Your inputs are your local plugins. So now we can see that the microphone is getting some kind of levels. So we just want to make sure that our gain is adjusted so that it is in the green mark. All right, so now let's plug into our stage box. So now that our microphone is plugged into our stage box, we're going to switch the routing for it so that our mixer knows that we are not plugging into our local plugs, but to our stage box inputs. Be doing that by being on the home screen still of your first channel, and we're going to select slot. And here is going to say change input source from input 1 to slot 1. What that is saying is that you're changing the input source of the local plug to your TO box. I'm gonna click OK, and then it changes. And now we have signal for our microphone that is plugged into our stage box. So now that you've plugged in your microphone and you know that channel 1 is gonna be your main speaker mic, you could go ahead and change that name and change the color. But we're gonna tap the white box at the bottom of the screen, and it takes you to a different menu. There's a pencil at the top left of the screen. We're gonna just click that. So now we could go ahead and select this box and your keyboard will pop up. It gives us the option to rename that channel 1 to whatever we'd like. And then now we could go ahead and change the color by selecting the color. So now I'm gonna show you how to plug in your iPad or your iPhone. First, we have these ST-in iPad enabled or iPhone channels that we could just plug straight into. So first we're gonna select that first channel there, and it's gonna take us to that menu of that channel. and we'll plug in our phone. So now we want to go and set the gain as well. So we're going to go ahead and double tap on that screen. And as you can see, you have two options, ST in or playback. So what that is saying is that ST in, you can see at the back of the board that there is STI in 1 and 2. You can plug in two different things by banana plugs that are red and white. If you are plugging in any of these two channels to the STI 1 and 2, you would use ST in. That is saying you are plugging these two channels to the back of the board. If you are plugging in via USB here to the phone, you would click playback. So as you can see here, we have our first 24 channels. If you want to get to your second set of input channels, you would go here to your fader bank square, and you can see it has input 1, input 2, and output. So what that is saying is that input 1 is showing you your first 24 channels, and if you hit input 2, you will get your next 25 through 40 channels.